Commander Jake Morrison stood in the main control room of Earth Defense Station Alpha, watching the biggest gathering of alien ships he had ever seen. The massive screen showed hundreds of vessels from across the galaxy, each one representing a different species that belonged to the Galactic Council. Some ships looked like giant crystals that sparkled in the starlight. Others appeared as smooth metal spheres that seemed to bend light around them. A few resembled living creatures with wings spread wide across space. Jake had been preparing for this moment for 3 months, ever since the Galactic Council delivered their final message to Earth. The message was simple and clear. Prove that humanity deserves to be part of the galactic community or face complete isolation from all other civilizations. No trade, no communication, no help if Earth ever faced danger from space. The young commander ran his hand through his brown hair and looked around the control room. His team of officers worked quietly at their stations, but he could feel the tension in the air. Everyone knew what was at stake. Lieutenant Kevin Adams sat at the communications desk, monitoring signals from the alien fleet. Captain Amy Foster reviewed tactical data at her station. Dr. Emma Rodriguez stood near the science console, her dark eyes focused on readings that only she seemed to understand. Emma had been acting strange for weeks now. She spent most of her time in the lower levels of the station, working on something she called Project Looking Glass. When Jake asked her about it, she would only say that she was preparing Earth's presentation for the Council. She insisted that humanity had more to offer than anyone realized, including most humans themselves. The main screen flickered as an incoming transmission arrived. Jake straightened his uniform and nodded to Kevin, who opened the channel. The image that appeared made several officers take a step back. High Counselor Vex Tar of the Zephyrian Empire materialized as a tall figure made of what looked like living crystal. His face had no expression that humans could read, but his voice carried the weight of ancient authority. "Humans of Earth," Vex Star began, his words translated by the Universal Communication System. "You have been granted one final opportunity to demonstrate your worth to the galactic community. The Council has gathered to hear your case. You have exactly 48 hours to present evidence that your species possesses knowledge, technology, or capabilities that would benefit the greater galaxy." Jake felt his heart beating faster. 48 hours to save humanity's future among the stars. He had expected more time to prepare, but the Council clearly wanted to resolve the Earth question quickly. Vex Star continued speaking. "Be aware that this is not merely a formality. 17 species have applied for Council membership in the past century. Only 3 were accepted. The others were deemed too primitive, too aggressive, or too limited in their potential contributions. Several of those species are now extinct, either by their own actions or by forces they were unprepared to face." The message was clear. Join the galactic community or face the universe alone, with all the dangers that might bring. Jake knew that Earth's military, while advanced by human standards, was nothing compared to the weapons he had seen in alien ships. If hostile forces ever attacked Earth, humanity would need allies to survive. "We understand, High Counselor," Jake replied, keeping his voice steady. "Earth will be ready to present our case within the specified time. See that you are, Vex Star. Said, the Council has seen many young species make grand claims about their potential. Most prove to be disappointingly ordinary. Do not waste our time with primitive achievements or desperate promises about future development. Show us what humanity actually possesses that we cannot find elsewhere in the galaxy." The transmission ended, leaving the control room in silence. Jake looked at his team and saw worry on their faces. What could Earth possibly show these ancient civilizations that they had not already seen? Humanity had only been traveling between stars for 50 years. Most Council species had been exploring space for thousands of years. Dr. Emma Rodriguez stepped forward. "Commander, I need to speak with you privately." Jake followed Emma to a smaller room adjacent to the main control center. Once the door closed, Emma's calm expression changed to one of intense focus. "Jake, I know what we need to show them," she said. "But it means revealing something that very few people on Earth know about. Something that could change how the entire galaxy sees us." "What are you talking about, Emma?" Emma walked to the room's computer terminal and entered a complex security code. The screen displayed files marked with the highest classification levels that Jake had ever seen. Some of the documents were older than Earth's space program. For the past 60 years, certain groups within Earth's government and scientific community have been preparing for this exact situation, Emma explained. Not the Council evaluation specifically, but first contact with advanced alien civilizations. We knew that when we finally met other species, they would see us as primitive newcomers. Jake studied the files on the screen. He saw references to deep space monitoring projects, classified research into exotic physics, and something called the Gray Network that he had never heard of before. "The thing is," Emma continued, "every alien species we have encountered so far has made the same mistake. They assume that because our technology looks simple compared to theirs, we must be less advanced. They see our projectile weapons and think we never learned to make energy weapons. They see our chemical rockets and assume we never developed better propulsion. They see our biological computers and think we never figured out quantum processing. Are they wrong?" Jake asked. Emma smiled for the first time in weeks. "Completely wrong. We have all of those technologies and more. But we also kept the old ones for a very good reason. A reason that might save not just humanity, but every species in this galaxy." Before Jake could ask what she meant, alarms started, sounding throughout the station. Kevin's voice came over the communication system from the main control room. "Commander Morrison to the bridge immediately. We have multiple ships breaking formation from the alien fleet. They appear to be positioning for some kind of demonstration." Jake and Emma rushed back to the control room. The main screen showed several alien vessels moving away from the main group. Each ship began displaying different types of advanced technology. One ship seemed to disappear completely, only to reappear in a different location seconds later. Another ship fired a beam of energy that cut through a nearby asteroid like it was made of soft clay. A third vessel created what looked like a small artificial star that provided light and energy to the surrounding area. "They are showing us what real technology looks like," Captain Amy Foster said quietly, "making sure we understand the level we need to reach." Jake watched the display of power and felt a moment of doubt. How could humanity compete with civilizations that could bend space and time to their will? Emma placed her hand on his shoulder. "Do not let them intimidate you," she said. "What they are showing us is impressive, but it is also exactly what I expected. Every one of those technologies follows predictable patterns. They are efficient, clean, and highly specialized, perfect for stable, controlled environments. And that is a problem because the universe is not stable or controlled," Emma replied. "And there are things coming toward our galaxy that those perfect technologies will not be able to stop. Things that feed on advanced technology and grow stronger by consuming it." Jake stared at her. "What things?" Emma looked at the alien ships on the screen, then back at Jake. "That is what we need to tell the Council. Not just what humanity can contribute to the galaxy, but what we have been preparing for while everyone else was perfecting their beautiful, vulnerable technologies. The next 48 hours would determine not just Earth's future, but the fate of every civilization in the galaxy. And humanity was about to reveal a secret that had been hidden for decades. Dr. Emma Rodriguez stood in Research Lab 7, 3 levels below the main deck of Earth Defense, Station Alpha, The lab was filled with equipment that looked nothing like the sleek alien technology displayed on the screens above. Here, old style. Computers with physical keyboards sat next to quantum processors. Chemical analysis equipment shared space with exotic matter detectors. Everything looked like it had been built by different civilizations from different time periods. Emma had spent the last 2 years preparing for this moment, but her real work had begun decades earlier. She was part of a secret group of scientists and military officers who had been asking a simple question: what if humanity's apparent technological limitations were actually advantages? Colonel Ben Turner entered the lab carrying a stack of classified files. Ben was a tall man with gray hair who had been involved in Earth's secret preparations since the beginning. He had seen the first alien ships arrive in Earth's solar system and had immediately understood that humanity was unprepared for what they would find in the galaxy. "The presentation materials are ready," Ben said, setting the files on Emma's desk. "But I have to ask again. Are you certain this is the right approach? We are about to tell the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy that we have been lying to them for 50 years. Emma looked up from the computer she was working on. The screen showed a map of the local galaxy with thousands of small dots marked across dozens of star systems. Each dot represented something that the alien council members had never detected. Despite their advanced sensors and centuries of space exploration, "We have not been lying," Emma said. "We have been surviving. There is a difference." She stood and walked to a large display screen that showed detailed information about every alien species in the Galactic Council. The Zephyrians had evolved on a world with perfect climate control, where crystal formations provided natural computing power and energy was freely available from their planet's core. The Corvani came from ocean worlds where tidal forces were predictable and resources were abundant. The Zirithi had developed on desert planets where the environment was harsh but consistent. "Look at their worlds," Emma said, pointing to the display. Every single species in the Council evolved under stable conditions. Their planets might have been hot or cold, wet or dry, but they were predictable. When these species developed technology, they could focus on efficiency and specialization because they knew what challenges they would face. Ben studied the information. He had seen these files before, but Emma's point was becoming clearer each time she explained it. "Earth is different," Emma continued. "Our planet has ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, magnetic pole reversals, and climate shifts that happen without warning. Any species that survived on Earth had to be ready for anything. We could not afford to specialize because we never knew what would try to kill us next." Emma walked to another section of the lab where samples of Earth technology were displayed. She picked up a simple projectile weapon and set it next to an advanced energy rifle. When the aliens first saw our weapons, they assumed we had never learned to make energy-based systems. They were wrong. We have energy weapons that are more efficient than most of theirs. But we also kept making projectile weapons because we learned something that stable world species never had to learn. Which is, energy weapons can be disrupted, jammed, or turned against you by an enemy who understands how they work. Projectile weapons are simple, reliable, and very hard to stop if you do not see them coming. When you face an unknown enemy, simple and reliable can save your life. Captain Amy Foster joined them in the lab. She was carrying sealed containers that held samples Emma had requested from various Earth installations. Amy had been part of the secret project almost as long as Ben, but her specialty was practical applications rather than theory. "The samples from the hidden facilities are ready," Amy said, setting the containers on a nearby table. "I have to admit, looking at everything we have built over the past 50 years, it is impressive. But I'm still worried about how the Council will react when they realize what we have been doing." Emma opened one of the containers and removed a small device that looked like it had been built from spare parts. The device was functional, but appeared crude compared to alien technology. "This is a deep space communication relay," Emma explained. "It uses basic radio signals, simple encryption, and mechanical switching systems. To alien sensors, it looks like space junk or natural phenomena, but it can send messages across dozens of light years and coordinate complex operations." Ben picked up the device and examined it. "How many of these have we deployed?" "Over the past 40 years, we have placed approximately 12,000 communication relays throughout this region of the galaxy," Emma said, "along with mining stations, research posts, automated defense platforms, and monitoring equipment. All of it designed to look primitive or natural to alien detection systems." Amy activated a holographic display that showed the true extent of human presence in nearby star systems. The aliens who had dismissed Earth as a newcomer species would be shocked to learn that humans had been quietly working throughout their territory for decades. "The beauty of the system," Amy explained, "is that it uses technology the aliens understand but do not respect. A scan for quantum signatures, exotic energy patterns, and advanced materials. Our equipment uses fusion reactors, steel alloys, and biological computers. To them, it is invisible because it is beneath their notice." Emma sat back down at her computer and began preparing the presentation that would change everything. "The question now is whether we tell them just about the network or whether we tell them why we built it." Ben and Amy exchanged looks. They both knew what Emma was referring to, but neither wanted to be the first to say it out loud. "Emma," Ben said carefully, "if we tell them about the deep space monitoring data, there is no going back. Once the Council knows what we have detected, everything changes." Emma stopped typing and looked at her colleagues. "Ben, we have been tracking the approach vector for 37 years. We know what is coming and approximately when it will arrive. We can pretend that humanity just wants to join the galactic community and hope someone else figures out the threat in time. Or we can tell them the truth and start preparing a defense that might actually work. What if they do not believe us?" Amy asked. "Then we continue our preparations alone and hope we are wrong about how bad this is going to be," Emma replied. "But if we are right, and if the Council species keep relying on their specialized technologies, they will not survive what is coming." Emma turned back to her computer and called up files that had been classified at the highest levels for decades. The data showed massive objects moving through the empty space between galaxies, heading directly toward their region of space. The objects were too large to be natural and moved in patterns that suggested intelligence and purpose. "The deep space arrays detected them 8 years ago," Emma said. "But we have been tracking similar signals and energy patterns for much longer. We think they have done this before to other galaxies. And we think we know what they do to advanced civilizations." She brought up another file that showed the analysis of energy, signatures from dead galaxy clusters that Earth's long-range sensors had studied. The patterns were consistent and terrifying. "They consume technology," Emma explained. "Specifically, they consume and adapt advanced technology. The more sophisticated and powerful a civilization's technology becomes, the more attractive they are to these entities. And once the entities acquire that technology, they become stronger and harder to stop." Ben sat down heavily in a nearby chair. "So every advancement the Council species have made, every technological marvel they are so proud of, makes them better targets." "Exactly. The Zephyrians' crystal technology, the Corvani's biological systems, the Zirithi's matter manipulation abilities, all of it will be turned against them if these entities reach our galaxy." Amy looked at the data on the screen. "But our primitive technology would not be as useful to them." "That is what we are hoping," Emma said. "Our theory is that they adapt to what they consume. If they have never encountered chemical explosives, kinetic weapons, or biological computers, they might not know how to defend against them or use them effectively. Emma saved her work and stood up. The presentation was ready, but she knew that the next 48 hours would determine whether humanity's secret preparations had been worth the risk. We are about to tell the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy that their technology makes them vulnerable, she said, and that the species they see as primitive might be their best hope for survival. Ben stood and straightened his uniform. Then we better make sure we are right about this. Outside the lab, alarms continued to sound as alien ships demonstrated their capabilities. None of them knew that deep in Earth's hidden network, sensors were tracking something far more dangerous, approaching from the dark between the stars. The Galactic Council chambers were unlike anything humans had ever built. The massive halls stretched for kilometers in every direction, with artificial gravity fields allowing representatives from different species to orient themselves according to their biological needs. Some delegates floated in zero gravity, while others stood on surfaces that extended from the walls at impossible angles. The chamber itself was a demonstration of the advanced technology that the Council species had mastered over thousands of. YEARS Dr. Emma Rodriguez walked across the main presentation platform, feeling small under the gaze of 47 different alien species. Each delegation represented millions or billions of beings who had achieved things that Earth was still trying to understand. The Zephyrian crystals sparkled with internal light. The Corvani delegates moved within spheres of water that somehow maintained their shape in the artificial environment. The Zerathi appeared as shifting geometric patterns that hurt human eyes to look at directly. High Counselor Vexstar floated above the center of the chamber, his crystalline form catching and refracting the light from dozens of different sources. Around him, other council leaders waited with expressions that ranged from mild curiosity to obvious boredom. They had seen many young species make presentations about their potential value to the galactic community. Most of those presentations had been disappointing. Members of the Galactic Council, Emma began, her voice amplified by translation systems that converted her words into forms that each species could understand. You have asked humanity to prove our worth to the galactic community, to show you what we can contribute that cannot be found elsewhere among the stars. Emma activated the holographic display system and showed images of Earth's technology. Projectile weapons, chemical rockets, biological computers, and mechanical systems that looked crude compared to the marvels of engineering that surrounded her in the council chamber. You see our technology, and you think we are primitive, Emma continued. You see our weapons, and assume we never learned to manipulate energy. You see our propulsion systems and believe we never discovered better methods of travel. You see our computers, and think we never understood quantum processing. Counselor Depth-Singer of the Corvani delegation stirred within her water sphere. Her translated voice carried notes of curiosity mixed with skepticism. Are you suggesting that our assessment of human technology is incorrect? I am suggesting that your assessment is incomplete, Emma replied. She changed the holographic display to show detailed scans of Earth itself. The planet appeared as a chaotic world of extreme weather, geological instability, and environmental conditions that changed without warning. Every species represented in this chamber evolved on worlds with predictable challenges, Emma explained. Your planets might have been harsh, but they were consistently harsh. You could develop specialized technologies because you knew what problems you needed to solve. The display showed the home worlds of various council species. Crystal worlds with stable energy flows, ocean worlds with gentle tidal patterns, desert worlds with consistent climate cycles. Each world had shaped its inhabitants in predictable ways. Earth is different, Emma said, changing the display to show Earth's history of catastrophic changes. 5 major extinction events, dozens of smaller disasters. Ice ages that lasted millions of years followed by periods of extreme heat, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, magnetic pole reversals. Our planet tried to kill us in every way possible. The alien delegates began to pay closer attention. Several species had experienced single catastrophic events in their history, but none had faced the constant uncertainty that characterized Earth's development. Any species that survived on our world had to be prepared for anything, Emma continued. We could not afford to develop perfect solutions for specific problems, because we never knew what problem would try to kill us next. We had to develop adaptable solutions that would work under any conditions. Commander Jake Morrison stepped forward to join Emma on the platform. Behind him came Colonel Ben Turr and Captain Amy Foster, each carrying equipment that looked deliberately primitive compared to the technology surrounding them. What Dr. Rodriguez is explaining, Jake said, is that humanity did not fail to develop advanced technology. We chose to maintain multiple technological approaches because our survival depended on redundancy and adaptability. Ben activated a portable display unit that showed comparative analyses of human and alien technologies. Your energy weapons are more efficient than our projectile systems, he explained, but efficiency is not the same as reliability. Your weapons require specific power sources, maintenance protocols, and environmental conditions. Our weapons work in any environment with locally available materials. Captain Amy Foster set up a demonstration area in the center of the platform. She had brought examples of human technology that had been specifically chosen to illustrate their point. This is a human field medical kit, Amy said, holding up a container that looked ancient compared to alien medical technology. It contains chemical compounds, mechanical tools, and biological materials. Your medical systems can heal injuries that this kit cannot touch. But this kit works on any species, in any environment, without external power or specialized knowledge. The Zerathi delegate, whose geometric form pulsed with mathematical precision, transmitted a question through the translation system. You are suggesting that primitive technology has advantages over advanced systems. We are suggesting that there is no such thing as primitive technology, Emma replied. There are only different approaches to solving problems. You have optimized for efficiency and specialization because your worlds rewarded those approaches. We optimized for adaptability and resilience because our world demanded them. Emma activated a new display that showed detailed analysis of every alien technology that had been demonstrated over the past 2 days. Energy manipulation, matter, transformation, space-time distortion, quantum processing, and exotic physics applications that represented millions of years of development. Your technologies are magnificent, Emma said with genuine admiration. They represent achievements that humanity may never equal, but they all share certain characteristics. They are efficient, clean, predictable, and specialized. They work perfectly under controlled conditions. High Counselor Vic Star's crystalline form shifted patterns, indicating increased interest. You speak as though these characteristics are weaknesses. Under normal circumstances, they are strengths, Emma replied. But circumstances are not always normal. Sometimes you face problems that your specialized solutions cannot handle. Sometimes you encounter enemies that can turn your own technology against you. Sometimes the universe presents challenges that require adaptation rather than optimization. Jake stepped forward. Members of the Council, humanity is not asking you to abandon your advanced technology or adopt our approaches. We are asking you to consider the possibility that diversity of technological approaches makes all of us stronger. Emma brought up a new display that showed theoretical scenarios of technological interaction. If every species in the galaxy uses energy-based weapons, then any enemy that learns to manipulate energy can defeat all of us. If every species relies on quantum computing, then any threat that can disrupt quantum states can cripple our entire civilization. But if some species maintain kinetic weapons, chemical propulsion, biological computers, and mechanical systems alongside the advanced technologies, then no single attack method can defeat the entire galaxy, Ben added. Colonel Turner activated his own display unit. For the past 50 years, humanity has been developing what we call hybrid technological systems. We combine the best aspects of advanced and traditional approaches to create solutions that work under any conditions. The demonstration that followed showed human equipment that integrated alien technologies with human engineering approaches, energy weapons with mechanical backup systems, quantum computers with biological processors as redundant systems, spacecraft that used both exotic propulsion and chemical rockets. The result, Amy explained, is technology that performs almost as well as pure advanced systems under normal conditions, but continues to function when advanced systems fail. Counselor Duffsinger moved closer to the demonstration area. You have been developing these hybrid systems for 50 years? Since your first contact with galactic civilization? Since before our first contact, Emma replied. Humanity began preparing for this meeting long before we knew it would happen. We assumed that when we encountered advanced alien civilizations, they would see us as primitive. We decided to turn that perception into an advantage. The council chamber fell silent as the implications of Emma's statement became clear. Several delegates began urgent communications with their home governments. The humans had not been honest about their capabilities from the beginning of contact. High Counselor Vextar's voice carried notes of something that might have been anger. You have been deceiving us about your technological capabilities. Why? Should we trust anything you tell us now? Emma looked directly at the High Counselor's crystalline form. Because we are about to tell you something that will change everything you think you know about the threats facing this galaxy. The Galactic Council chamber erupted into chaos as the massive display screens showed images that no alien species had ever seen before. Dark shapes the size of moons moved through the empty space, between galaxies with purpose and intelligence that was unmistakable. The objects cast shadows against distant starlight and warped space around them in ways that violated several known laws of physics. Captain Amy Foster stood at the control panel, manipulating the display to show different views of the approaching threat. Each image had been captured by Earth's deep space monitoring network over the past 8 years, but the data went back much further than that. We call them the Devourers, Amy announced as the alien delegates struggled to understand what they were seeing. Our deep space arrays detected them 8 years ago, but we have been tracking similar energy signatures and movement patterns for 37 years. High Counselor Vextar's crystalline form flickered with patterns that indicated extreme agitation. This is impossible. Our sensor networks extend far beyond this galaxy. We would have detected threats of this magnitude long before any primitive human technology could have found them. Dr. Emma Rodriguez stepped forward and activated a new section of the display. That is exactly what we expected you to say. Your sensors are designed to detect the kind of technology you understand. Energy signatures, quantum fluctuations, exotic matter configurations. You look for artificial structures that match your own technological approaches. The display showed comparative sensor readings from both human and alien detection systems. The alien sensors showed empty space where the human equipment had detected massive objects. The Devourers do not use technology that resembles anything. In your databases, Emma explained, they use principles that your physics models cannot predict. Our sensors detected them because we were looking for things that did not make sense rather than things that followed known patterns. Colonel Ben Turner joined them at the central platform. 8 years ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected gravitational anomalies that suggested massive objects moving through intergalactic space. The anomalies were subtle and required years of observation to confirm, but the pattern was clear. The display changed to show trajectory calculations and arrival estimates. The alien delegates fell silent as they realized what the data meant. Based on current movement patterns and acceleration curves, the Devourer fleet will reach the outer edge of our galaxy in approximately 18 months, Ben continued. They are following a path that will bring them through the core systems where most council species have their major populations. Counselor Depthsinger moved her water sphere closer to the display. You said you have been tracking similar signatures for 37 years. What did you mean by that? Emma activated another section of the presentation that showed long-range astronomical data. For decades, Earth's astronomers have been studying distant galaxy clusters that show unusual energy patterns. Dead galaxies with no star formation, no radio emissions, and no signs of technological civilization. The images that appeared on the screen showed galaxy after galaxy that had been stripped of all energy sources. Stars had been drained of their fusion fuel. Planets had been consumed down to their cores. Entire solar systems had been reduced to cold, empty space. At first, we thought these were natural phenomena, Emma said. Galaxies that had simply aged beyond their ability to support life. But the patterns were too consistent and too widespread. Someone or something was systematically consuming entire galactic civilizations. Jake Morrison stepped forward to address the council directly. 3 years ago, our analysis teams made a breakthrough. They identified the specific pattern of consumption that characterizes devourer attacks. They do not simply destroy civilizations. They consume and adapt their technology. The display showed theoretical models of how the consumption process worked. Advanced technologies were absorbed and integrated into the devourer fleet, making them stronger and more capable with each civilization they encountered. The more advanced a civilization's technology, the more valuable they become as targets, Jake explained. Energy manipulation systems provide power sources. Quantum computers enhance processing capabilities. Exotic matter applications improve structural integrity. Every technological achievement becomes a weapon in their hands. The Zirithi delegate's geometric form pulsed with rapid calculations. You are suggesting that our technological advancement makes us vulnerable to these entities. We are suggesting that your technological specialization makes you vulnerable, Emma corrected. A civilization that relies entirely on energy-based systems can be crippled if the enemy learns to manipulate energy. A species that depends on quantum computing can be paralyzed if their quantum states are disrupted. Amy Foster activated a new display that showed the true extent of Earth's hidden preparations. Thousands of installations appeared throughout the local galactic region, connected by communication networks that had been invisible to alien detection systems. For 40 years, humanity has been establishing what we call the Gray Network, Amy announced. Monitoring stations, communication relays, supply depots, and defensive installations spread across dozens of star systems. The alien delegates stared at the display in shock. The humans had been operating throughout their territory for decades without being detected. How is this possible? Demanded the Corvani counselor. Our security systems monitor every ship movement, every energy signature, every technological deployment in this region. Ben smiled grimly. Your security systems monitor the kind of technology you expect to see. Our installations use fusion reactors that your sensors classify as natural phenomena. Steel and ceramic construction that appears as space debris. Biological. Computers that register as organic matter. We built everything using technology that you understand, but do not respect, Emma added. To your advanced detection systems, our network looks like the scattered remains of primitive exploration attempts. Jake activated the tactical display system and showed detailed analysis of the Devourer capabilities based on observations of their previous attacks. The Gray Network has been gathering intelligence on Devourer methodology for 8 years. Explained. We know how they approach target galaxies, how they identify valuable civilizations, and how they adapt captured technology for their own use. The display showed the systematic destruction of 3 different galactic civilizations. In each case, the Devourers had targeted the most advanced species first, using their captured technology to overwhelm less developed civilizations. They start with energy-manipulating species because energy control gives them power over most other technologies, Jake continued. Then they absorb quantum computing civilizations to enhance their processing capabilities. Matter manipulation species provide construction and manufacturing advantages. Each conquest makes them stronger. But there is a weakness in their approach, Emma said, bringing up new data that showed gaps in the Devourer adaptation patterns. They adapt to technologies they understand and can analyze. They become stronger by incorporating systems that follow predictable physical laws. Amy Foster set up a practical demonstration, using equipment that looked primitive compared to the alien technology surrounding them. They have never encountered deliberate technological diversity, she explained. Civilizations that maintain primitive systems alongside advanced ones. Technologies that work on principles they cannot easily adapt or counter. The demonstration showed how human hybrid systems could function, even when their advanced components were disrupted or turned against them. Chemical explosives still worked when energy weapons failed. Mechanical computers continued operating when quantum systems were compromised. Biological processors maintained function when electronic systems were corrupted. This is why humanity has maintained technological redundancy, Emma explained. Not because we are primitive, but because we understood that overspecialization creates vulnerabilities that intelligent enemies can exploit. Colonel Turner brought up the final section of the presentation, showing proposed defensive strategies that combined alien advanced technology with human adaptive approaches. The Gray Network has been positioning assets for a defense that uses everyone's strengths while minimizing everyone's weaknesses, he announced. Alien energy systems powered by human fusion backup. Quantum computers protected by biological processing redundancy. Advanced weapons supported by kinetic backup systems. A defense that uses every available tool from the most advanced physics. Manipulation to stone knives and steel swords, Jake added. A strategy that adapts to whatever the enemy throws at us instead of relying on predetermined solutions. High Counselor Vextar's crystalline form had been flickering with rapid pattern. Changes throughout the presentation. Now he spoke with a voice that carried notes of something that might have been fear. Emma looked directly at the High Counselor. We are asking you to consider the possibility that survival sometimes requires abandoning perfection in favor of adaptability. The Devourers have consumed galaxies full of perfect specialized technologies. They have never The Galactic Council Chamber had never seen anything like the chaos that followed humanity's revelation about the approaching Devourers. Delegates from 47 different species transmitted urgent messages to their home governments, while others demanded immediate verification of the human claims. Some species called for emergency sessions, while others questioned whether the entire presentation was an elaborate deception designed to gain humanity undeserved influence in galactic affairs. High Counselor Vextar struggled to maintain order as his crystalline form flickered with patterns that indicated extreme stress. Silence, he commanded, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. The Council will address these claims in an orderly manner. Dr. Emma Rodriguez stood calmly at the center of the platform while alien delegates argued around her. She had expected this reaction and was prepared for the skepticism that followed any revelation that challenged fundamental assumptions about galactic security. Honorable counselors, Emma said when the noise finally decreased, We understand your concerns about the validity of our data. We are prepared to provide complete access to our monitoring networks so that your own scientists can verify our findings. The Zirithi delegate's geometric form pulsed with rapid calculations. Even if we accept that these devourers exist and represent the threat you describe, why should we trust human strategic assessment? Your species has been part of galactic civilization for only 50 years. Commander Jake Morrison stepped forward to address the question. Because our species has been preparing for threats like this for our entire evolutionary history. Earth taught us that survival depends on being ready for the unexpected. Every other species in this chamber developed under stable conditions that rewarded specialization and optimization. We developed under chaotic conditions that rewarded adaptability and redundancy. Colonel Ben Turner activated a new display that showed detailed analysis of devourer attack patterns from their previous galactic conquests. The data shows that they target advanced civilizations first because advanced technology provides the greatest benefit when absorbed and adapted. They have never encountered a galaxy where the most militarily significant species deliberately maintains primitive technology alongside advanced systems. Captain Amy Foster brought up tactical simulations that had been running on Earth's computers for the past 3 years. Our models suggest that traditional galactic defense strategies will fail against the Devourers because they rely on the same technological approaches that make civilizations attractive targets. The simulations showed various alien defense technologies being turned against their creators as the Devourers adapted energy weapons, quantum computers, and exotic matter systems for their own use. But hybrid defense strategies that combine advanced and primitive technologies create adaptation problems for the enemy. Amy continued, they cannot easily counter kinetic weapons with energy manipulation. They cannot disrupt mechanical computers with quantum interference. They cannot adapt biological systems using purely technological approaches. Counselor Deathsinger moved her water sphere closer to the display area. You are proposing a complete revision of galactic military doctrine based on unproven theories about enemy capabilities. We are proposing a defense strategy based on 37 years of intelligence gathering and analysis, Emma replied. The Gray Network has been collecting data on devourer capabilities, movement patterns, and tactical approaches since we first detected evidence of their existence. Jake activated a real-time display of the Gray Network that showed thousands of human installations throughout the local galactic region. Each installation was monitoring space for signs of devourer approach while maintaining communication with the hidden command centers that coordinated Earth's preparations. This network represents the largest intelligence gathering operation in galactic history, Jake announced. For 4 decades, humanity has been tracking threats that your sensors could not detect and preparing defenses that your military doctrine would not consider. The alien delegates stared at the display in amazement and growing concern. The humans had been operating a massive covert network throughout their territory without their knowledge or permission. Furthermore, Ben added, our analysis suggests that successful defense against the Devourers requires cooperation between all galactic species, not just military alliance. The enemy adapts to whatever technology they encounter. The more diverse our technological base, the harder it becomes for them to develop effective countermeasures. Emma brought up new displays that showed proposed integration strategies for combining alien and human technologies. Zephyrian crystal technology can provide processing power for our distributed command systems while human. Biological computers provide backup processing that cannot be easily disrupted. Corvani biological systems can enhance our organic technology, while human mechanical systems provide redundancy when biological approaches fail. Zirithi matter manipulation can improve our construction capabilities, while human chemical and kinetic Systems provide weapons that cannot be easily adapted or countered, Amy added. Every species contributes their greatest strengths, while human redundancy systems protect against enemy adaptation. The proposed alliance structure that appeared on the displays was unlike anything that had been attempted in galactic history. Instead of each species contributing their best technology to a unified defense force, the plan called for integrated systems that combined the advantages of multiple technological approaches. The key insight, Emma explained, is that the Devourers have never faced an enemy that deliberately uses inferior technology alongside superior systems. They expect civilizations to optimize their approaches and abandon primitive methods. They are not prepared for enemies who fight with stone knives and quantum computers at the same time. High Counselor Vixstar's form had stabilized into patterns. That indicated deep concentration. The implications of what you are proposing extend far beyond military cooperation. You are asking us to fundamentally change our approach to technological development. We are asking you to consider the possibility that technological diversity makes all of us stronger, Jake replied. A galaxy where every species uses the same approaches to solve problems is vulnerable to any enemy that learns to counter those approaches. A galaxy where different species maintain different technological traditions is much harder to defeat. Colonel Turner brought up historical data from Earth's own experience with technological diversity. Human civilization has always maintained multiple approaches to the same problems. We use energy weapons and projectile weapons, digital computers and biological processors, spacecraft that use both exotic propulsion and chemical rockets. This redundancy has saved us from numerous potential disasters, and it may be the key to saving the galaxy from the Devourers, Emma added. The council chamber fell silent as the alien delegates considered the implications of the human proposal. Several species began private communications with their governments, while others requested additional data about the Gray Network and its capabilities. Counselor Depth Singer was the first to speak. The Corvani delegation requests access to your biological technology research. If these Devourers truly represent the threat you describe, we wish to contribute our biological expertise to the hybrid defense systems. The Zirathi delegates form, pulsed with agreement. The Zirathi Collective finds merit in your diversity approach. We will share our matter manipulation techniques in exchange for access to your mechanical engineering methods. One by one, the other species began indicating their willingness to participate in the proposed alliance. The Zephyrians offered their crystal technology in exchange for human computer redundancy systems. The Corvani provided biological expertise for human organic computing projects. Dozens of other species contributed their unique capabilities to the growing cooperative effort. High Counselor Vexstar waited until all 47 species had indicated their positions before speaking again. The Galactic Council has never attempted cooperation on this scale. The logistical challenges alone will be enormous. The Gray Network provides the infrastructure for coordination, Amy replied. Our communication systems can handle real-time coordination between thousands of different installations across dozens of star systems. We have been testing large-scale cooperative protocols for years. Emma activated the final display of their presentation, showing timelines and resource allocation for the proposed Galactic Defense Initiative. We estimate 18 months until the Devourers reach our galaxy. With full cooperation from all Council species, we can have integrated defense systems in place within 15 months. And if the cooperation is not full? Asked the Zirathi delegate. Then we fight with whatever we have and hope it is enough, Jake replied honestly. But the data suggests that divided we fall and united, we have a chance to survive. The vote, when it finally came, was closer than the humans had hoped, but sufficient for their needs. 39 of the 47 species voted to participate in the Integrated Defense Initiative. 6 species chose to maintain neutrality while continuing to share intelligence. Only 2 species rejected the proposal entirely and withdrew from the council session.